Welcome to today's lesson on subtracting across zeros. Today we're going to discuss how you can subtract numbers when they have zeros in them. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to begin today by subtracting 145 from 302. Now, as you can see, using our manipulatives on the side of our screen, we have 2 1 units, we have 0 tens blocks, and we have 3 100s blocks. Now we're going to use these manipulatives to practice our subtraction. So our first step is to subtract 5 from 2. But we only have 2 1s, so we can't subtract 5. And if we look into our tens place, we have 0 10s to regroup into 1s. That means we need to go all the way over to our hundreds place. And we're going to regroup one of our hundreds into 10 10 blocks. So let's look at our manipulative, and I am going to regroup one 100s block, and I'm going to break it into 10 10s blocks. And as you can see, that leaves me with 2 hundreds blocks, which we have represented right here, and I have 10 tens blocks, which we have represented here. So now we have a 10 that we can regroup into 1s. So I'm going to cross out my tens blocks again because I need to regroup one of them into 10 1s. And I'm going to cross out this 10 block, which I just crossed out here, and I'm going to regroup it into 10 1s. So now we have 10 1s plus 1 is 11 plus 1 is 12. We have 12 1s represented here, which is our 12 in our 1s place. So now we can subtract. I need to subtract 5 1s. So I'm going to subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1s. And if we subtract 5 from 12, we get 7. So now we're ready for our next step. We need to subtract 9 minus 4. So I'm going to subtract 4 tens blocks. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And that leaves me with 5 tens blocks. And if we subtract 9 minus 4, we get 5. We're ready for our last step. We have 2 hundreds blocks, and we need to subtract 1. So I'm going to cross out one of our hundreds blocks, and that leaves me with 1 left. And if I subtract 2 minus 1, I get 1. So that means that 302 minus 145 gives us a value of 157. Let's walk through some practice problems together. I want you to subtract 400 minus 273. All right, let's go through our steps together. Our first step is to subtract 3 from 0. But we can't take away 3 1s if we're starting with 0, which means we need to regroup our tens. But we also have a 0 in the tens place, so that means we need to go all the way over to the hundreds place, and we're going to regroup one of our hundreds blocks into 10 tens blocks. Now we can regroup our tens blocks and regroup one of those blocks into 10 1s. So now we can subtract 10 minus 3. And 10 minus 3 equals 7. 9 minus 7 equals 2. And 3 minus 2 equals 1. Great job! Let's go ahead and try another one. I want you to subtract 705 minus 699. All right, let's go through these steps together. We know that we can't subtract 9 from 5, so we need to regroup our tens. But once again, we don't have any tens to regroup, which means we need to go all the way over to our hundreds place. So I'm going to regroup one of my hundreds blocks and turn it into 10 tens blocks. Now I can regroup my tens blocks and take one of my tens blocks and break it into 10 1s. 15 minus 9 equals 6. 9 minus 9 equals 0. And 6 minus 6 equals 0. Great work! Let's try one last problem. Can you subtract 910 minus 254? All right, let's walk through this one together. We know that our first step is subtracting our ones place. But we can't subtract 4 from 0, which means we need to regroup our tens place. So I'm going to break apart my tens block into 10 ones. 10 minus 4 equals 6. Now I can't subtract 5 from 0, which means I need to regroup my hundreds place. So I'm going to break apart one of my hundreds blocks into 10 tens blocks. 10 minus 5 equals 5, and 8 minus 2 equals 6. Great work! Let's try a word problem together. Joseph has $305 saved to buy a bicycle. He purchases a bicycle for $287. How much money does Joseph have left over? Well, if he's starting with $305 and he's subtracting $287, we need to set up a subtraction problem. So we're going to start with $305 and we're going to subtract $287. All right, let's get started. Our first step is to subtract our ones place. Now we can't subtract 7 from 5, which means we need to regroup our tens place. But we have 0 tens, so we need to move all the way to our hundreds place and regroup one of our hundreds into 10 tens. Now we can regroup our tens into 10 ones. 15 minus 7 equals 8. 9 minus 8 equals 1. And 2 minus 2 equals 0. So that means that we have $18 left. So how much money does Joseph have left over? He has $18 left over. Let's take a moment to review what you've learned in today's lesson. Whenever you're subtracting with zeros, you need to remember to regroup to the next place value over. So let's go ahead and walk through this last problem together. We know that we can't take away 3 from 2, which means we need to regroup to the tens place. But we have 0 tens, so we need to move another place value over, and we're going to regroup our hundreds blocks. So we took one 100s block and broke it into 10 tens blocks. Now we have some tens that we can break into ones. So I'm going to take one of my tens blocks and regroup it into 10 ones. Now I'm ready to go ahead and solve my problem. 12 minus 3 equals 9. 9 minus 1 equals 8. And 7 minus 7 equals 0.